Hello, everyone. My name is James, and this is the Pennsylvania Recreational Vehicle and Camping Association's Three Things with the PRVCA. Welcome. And this is a show where you get to meet somebody who is a camping and RV insider. And we're going to discuss three things with somebody today. And that somebody is Sharonne Lee with the RV Technical Institute based out of Elkhart, Indiana. Sharon, could you please provide a little background about yourself and what you do?
Okay, so I'm Sharonne Lee. I am Vice President of Education and Operations for the RV Technical Institute. We are a wholly owned subsidiary of the RV Industry Association, which represents the manufacturers and suppliers who build RVs. And I am a 36-year veteran employee. So I have been involved in the RV technician education in all its renditions over its lifespan, over 30 years in this industry. So I'm excited to join you guys and tell you a little bit about what RVTI is doing and the exciting progress we've made since we were created.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, before we get started, as always, if you have any questions for Sharon or the PRVCA, my contact information will be included in the description below. So please reach out and I will respond to anything that you ask. Now, Sharon, could you briefly, and that might be the difficult part, provide a bit of a history of RVTI? Where did RVTI come from, and how did you get to where you're at today?
Okay, I'll try and be as brief as possible, but this is a little bit of a long story. Like I said, the RV technician and training program for our industry has existed from my records since 1996. And it was a joint program between RVIA, the Manufacturers and Suppliers Association, and RVDA, the Dealers Association. In 2018, RVIA's board requested a full strategic plan around technician education to try and get it to grow. The program was not growing in the as quickly as the industry needed it to. So in 2018, the board requested a full strategic plan. So all segments of the industry were gathered. OEMs, suppliers, dealers, independents, associations were invited to participate to develop a plan. And so, using Six Sigma processing tools for process improvement, we created a pro forma budget and developed a presentation back to the RVIA board, which resulted in a $10 million investment to create RVTI. And then, a location was required and renovated, and our first pilot class was in 2020, right before COVID. So, so we did our first pilot of the new curriculum and testing in early 2020, shut down for COVID, but we didn't stop. We just switched gears, which is what COVID made a lot of people do. And then we focused on online training and Zoom, webinars and things like that, and then continued to move the needle until, a year later or so when we were able to open the school back up and have physical classes.
What are some of the things that you look back on and could say they're there, or this item right here, that is one of our crowning achievements, something that really makes you proud to be involved with RVTI?
So I'm going to tell you my proudest moment, and this is just a metric that we've used over the lifespan of the entire program, is I'm proud of how much the program has grown since RVTI. So we say RVTI, to date, like I said, first launch was really 2020. So we're in 2025. So we're 5 years old, right?
Mhm.
So if you take an example of the old program, the RVDA, RVIA program, the highest number of certified techs that we ever got to was around 4,000, right? And that was over a 20-year or longer process, right? That was the highest number we could get to. RVTI now sits at 7,000 certified techs, and 2,000 came over as a transfer. But what I like to say and proud, and yes, I'm bragging, is that in 5 years we've certified 5,000, and the old program certified 4 in 20 years. So we have made leaps and bounds on getting people recognized and certified and professionalizing the technicians, because they are really our unsung heroes in this. Like they're the most ignored out of all of what it is that we get to do. But they're the ones that keep the customer the happiest.
Yes, yes, it is. So as far as certifying the technicians, what are some of the ways that you think you've helped to expand that, or what do you, because that is a great achievement. Every place I go to, they need more techs. So
Hmm.
how is it that how do you think that's
So,
happened?
so we're still voluntary, right? RV service technician certification is not required in our industry. But I think that moving it all into with corroboration, because we still partner wonderfully with RVDA, they're not out of the picture. But changing the program to be managed and seen by one entity, where there's one entity for the technician to call and get whatever they need done for their certification process completed, streamlining that process, I think, was a barrier that was identified during our strategic planning investigation. And that's one of the reasons why one entity was the recommendation. It was because it was just too convoluted. There were barriers that people didn't see as barriers because it was an administrative barrier. A technician would have trouble and fail their first test, right? And so that they would call, and they would call RVDA because that's who they registered with, right? And they would have a specific technical question. And they were like, oh, well, you'd have to call over to RVIA because they own the content. And then they would call us, and then we would get them squared away with whatever technical question they had. And they're like, okay, great. Now I'm ready to retake the exam. And it's like, oh, well, now you got to hang up and call back to RVDA and re-register. And it was just at that point, they're like, this is all voluntary. I'm out. Like, it's just too much administrative up and down. I think that streamlining it into one organization, one place to call, helps remove some of those barriers.
Wonderful. So then, if there was somebody who is watching or listening and they were interested in knowing what that process is, right? So what would I need to do, and what is that process? What would I expect to have to complete to be, as you said, certified?
So we have a career path that has 4 levels of certification. RVTI only teaches 2. We teach level 1 and level 2. Our level 1 is basically in the industry known as PDI, but it's an inspection, right? You're inspecting the unit, getting it ready for customer delivery, making sure all the systems work correctly. At level 2 is where we teach you to troubleshoot, diagnose, and repair any issues you might have found. Um, and then level 3 is in the old program, that was all the continuing education that was after you got certified. We brought it into the career path now. So now then level 3 is all the vendor trainings, all the supplier trainings. So we taught you in 1 and 2, let's just say the foundations of the absorption refrigeration, how refrigerators in RVs work. Now we want you to go to the vendors who make those to find out how to fix their specific things. While a lot of them are the same, there are differentiations between them. And then if you do all of level 3, then you become master. So we streamlined that process. It may be a little bit harder, but if you were interested in becoming, first thing you do is contact RVTI, right? And we have a whole
Okay.
recruitment marketing team. We have a dedicated person who will walk you through the whole process if you call us. And so then the other thing that we're proud of is that we offer several models of to get your training because not everybody learns the same way, right? So you could buy textbooks and just self-study, right? You can be part of the online program, which helps cliff notes basically the textbooks, right? And gives you some activities and some videos and activities to do on your own as hands-on, right? Because you're doing it at your own self-paced. So that's our online. We have live classes here, which we use the same PowerPoints and Cliff Notes, but we provide the hands-on, and we have a lot of labs for you to do. And then you can also just, if you've been in the industry and just never became certified, you can always just challenge the test, right?
That's wonderful. That is outstanding. So then, if somebody is interested in becoming an RV technician and they go on to uh, whatever electronic device, they do the .com machine thing and they type in, I want to be an RV technician, a number of possibilities or options might come to them. What would you recommend, or what do you think you would say to somebody who's looking at 3 or 4 options to make sure that, not make sure that, but promote, hey, this is what RVTI can offer you to become a technician versus some of the other things that you might find on that Google list?
So, all training is good. No program out there is not worth training, right? So all training programs are good. RVTI is the only industry-backed training and the only industry-recognized certification. So, however you choose to afford whichever works into your pocketbook for getting your training, I think all of them are good. But if you want to get the industry-recognized gold standard certification, you should come back to RVTI and take that exam. Um, there are others that have certification programs. I just can't speak to how they're developed. I know that the way RVTI's is developed, and it's not our staff sitting in a room dictating. It's industry buy-in, it's industry experts who set that criteria, and we have a third party who validates and will defend us in court over how our certification process is created.
We've talked a little about the history and what it is that you're doing now and how you can help. But what I really want to get into is something that RVTI is working on that gets either technicians excited, gets you excited, or what's RVTI looking to build into the future that people who are listening should be excited about?
So there are so many things that we have that are either um, potential initiatives or initiatives that we're actually starting to tackle. And we are a small team, so we can only do so much in an amount of time. On my side of it, I am more in charge of, our whole recruitment team is doing a lot to recruit and get out to high schools and counselors and things like that to just educate the younger generation that this is even a career, right? So that's exciting to see that whole growth. And I think that that has also done a lot for us. It's the long game, right? Because it takes a while to get a school to implement a program. But we did launch, or we're launching this year, it'll start in January, a high school in Colorado that is teaching the RV technician as a semester program. They will graduate high school with a level 1 certification if they pass the exam. My side is more of the curriculum development and test. So what I'm excited about is we are currently working on version 3 of our curriculum and a comprehensive study guide and data bank of questions. So think of an SAT study book where you get a whole data bank of questions in a book and you get to study all of those. We're going to create that this year. We're going to have a study guide that has over 1,000 questions in it. And they are going to be, some of those questions do appear on exam. You just don't know which ones you're going to get because the test is going to be pulled out of that bank. So it's a great study
Wonderful.
tool that's going to help people study better for the exams and know exactly what we're looking for.
That is wonderful because many of the individuals who I have interacted with who have completed or going through the program, sometimes the feedback that I get is they feel kind of lost. They don't know what do I need to concentrate on because, as you said, it involves so much.
Mm-hmm.
So they'd like to have something that they can have that allows them to focus on certain things, and then afterwards they can expand into some of the more deeper stuff. So that's actually great to hear.
And even when we do presentations, even at the consumer level, like when we're at the counselors, I'm going to give you, it's a giveaway. But it's one of the things that people do. So even from a consumer level. So my example in the gym, answer it as a consumer. Don't answer it based off of the knowledge if you already know about the curriculum. But I ask people all the time, how do you test your smoke alarm at home?
I pushed a little button.
Right. And what they don't realize, and if you were trained by somebody else, is that's the way that they were trained. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to press the button. The alarm's going to sound. Smoke detector is fine. Well, the only thing you tested was that the alarm works. You didn't test that the sensor or the smoke detector is working, right? And they don't
Right.
realize that that's not what they tested. So like when we test and we ask that to technicians, we've taught you, no, use a can of smoked air to validate that the sensor's working to trigger the alarm, right? But if
Right.
you didn't go through the study materials and you just go the way that you were trained or the way that you've always known, because that's the way I do it at my house, you're going to answer those questions incorrectly because you're going to say pressing the button tests the alarm.
Right.
So that's just a quick example of
Yes.
why you should kind of know the theory behind and why we recommend, and at the price point. So here's the example. Love the price point that RVTI is at being subsidized by the industry. For $630, you can purchase for us an annual subscription, which gives you access to level 1 and level 2 training and one attempt at each of the tests for a 12-month period.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to test out, because I've been a technician for 30 years and I don't need to go through training, it's going to cost you $525 to take those 2 exams just by itself. So you're almost at the $600 mark anyway. And if you fail one, you have to pay an $80 retest fee. So now I'm over that mark, but I still have no study materials because I didn't buy that. I only bought the test. So why not buy the subscription and have access to the material? Even if you know it, it's fine. But if you do fail, then you have something to go back to and study and figure out, why didn't I pass? Why didn't I get this? What did I miss? And that's what we recommend to people because the price point is so close, right?
Yes, correct. Absolutely. And before we actually started the program, you and I had a conversation, and I know we could talk for another 3 hours about many things with what we do. I wanted to thank you for being here. I was very excited whenever you accepted. I hope that the people who have listened and paid attention this far are as excited about getting into a career, and they look out and look towards RVTI to help them into this field. It's something that I'm passionate about, and just listening to you for the last 15 to 20 minutes, I know you're passionate about it as well. And I know everybody that is working with you out there in Elkhart is just as passionate. So I thank you. Is there anything else you would like to share with anybody who has listened? And
The only thing other than technicians is that if there are owners who are watching the show or follow, if you're looking for a service technician that is already certified to work on your unit, there is a findascertifiedtechnician.com website, or on RVTI's website, there's a link, and we have a map that will show you what businesses. We don't publicize individual names. We publicize the company. And so there's a listing of those companies who employ certified techs on those websites. So that's where we first tell you to go look and find a qualified person to do the work on your RV.
Well, thanks, Sharon.
Well, thank you.
And with that, have a great day.
You too.
Have a wonderful afternoon, and I look forward to chatting with you again.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Yep.